So starting with the unit number 3, inheritance and casting, in which we will discuss about the 4 lessons. Lesson number 1, implementing inheritance. Second lesson, implementing upcast using inheritance. Lesson number 3, implementing polymorphism using inheritance. And the lesson number 4, implementing downcast using inheritance. So starting with the lesson number 1, implementing inheritance. As you already know about this inheritance, when one class acquired the property of the another class, then this process is called inheritance. And the class which is inheriting the property of the another class is called derived class, and by which we are inheriting the properties of the class is called base class. So generally in case of inheritance, we have mainly two classes. The first one is base class and second is derived class. And sometimes this base class is called parent class and derived class is called child class. Now this is an essential feature of the object-oriented programming model, inheritance, because it is the base of the concept of polymorphism. That means polymorphism means use of the same thing for the different purpose. Poly means many and morphism means forms. So you can also see in this figure we have 4 classes: LCL vehicle, which is our local class vehicle, and we have car, truck and bus. So total we have 4 classes, in which the local vehicle class is our base class and car, truck and bus is our derived classes. As I already told you, the notation of class is, in case of UML, is representing using a rectangular box, and this rectangular box is divided into 3 parts. The first part is representing your class name, second is representing attributes, and third one representing your methods. So the same thing we are going to do in this class vehicle. We have the attributes like make, model, set underscore number, color, n underscore o underscore vehicles, and we have put here the minus sign. So all of these are in the private section. And methods, we have put the positive sign so that we can access these methods outside of the class and make it as a public members. Similarly, we have 3 another classes: car, truck and bus, which are inheriting the property of the vehicles. So you can see car is a vehicle. That means there is a relationship between the classes vehicle class as well as car, truck and bus, and that relationship is a relationship. That is, car is a vehicle, truck is a vehicle and bus is a vehicle. When we read out like this one, car is a vehicle and truck is a vehicle and bus is a vehicle, then this is called generalization. And when we read out like vehicle can be car, vehicle can be truck, vehicle can be bus, then this is called specializations. So generally we have 2 types of relationship in case of inheritance, which is called generalization and specialization. Now come to the next topic, characteristics of the generalization or specialization. So these are the some of the characteristics that are mentioned in the slides. The first one is common components only exist once in the superclass. Generally, the main feature of using the inheritance is to avoid rewriting of the methods again and again. That means reusability. So that we can add some components into the base class and that we can inherit into the derived class. So base class can also have the components and derived class can also the components of the base class as well as the new components. When we are using the inherited component from the base class, then that is the concept of reusability. So the common components only exist when in the superclass, so they can be maintained centrally. Component in the superclass are available in the all subclasses, but avoids the redundant implementation. Third one characteristics, subclasses contains extension or changes. That means subclasses contain the base class component as well as new components. New component means we are going to extend this class. Fourth one, subclasses are dependent on the superclass, so that we call sometimes subclasses as a white box reuses. So in this figure you can see this LCL vehicle was the superclass and car, truck and bus was the derived class, which were acquiring the property of the base class as well as their additional components. Now come to the next topic. Now in this figure you can see how we can declare the classes and how we can process the inheritance. Now you can see generally inheritance relationship is defined syntactically using inheriting from. That means we generally define the inheritance using the inheriting from addition. So this is our class local underscore vehicle definition, and this is we are going to declare the public section and private section. In this public section we are declaring a method. The first method is set underscore type, which is importing the parameters iv underscore make and the type is string. Another, we are declaring here the attributes. So we are making it as a secure. So we have put in it into the private section data mv underscore make type string. Now this was our the base class. Now we want to get the derived class. Then how we can declare class, then LCL truck definition, then we use the addition or keyword inheriting from the base class name. The base class name was LCL vehicle. Now this class should have also their public section and private section. So in this class it has its own methods. So you can see that get underscore cargo is its own method LCL truck, not the base class method. Similarly, it has its own attributes mv underscore cargo. So by this way you can show the inheritance in case of classes. One more thing that I want to tell you, once you have defined the methods in case of a base class, then we can also modify the definition of this method into the derived class. That means we can also change the method into the derived class, because the derived class is having the property of inheriting the base class. Now come to the next topic. You can see how we can redefine the methods that we have already defined in case of base class. This is our class local class vehicle definition. This is our public section and this is our methods, and this is the method of our base class display underscore attributes. Now suppose if you want to modify this display underscore attribute, which is a method of the base class, into the derived class, how we can redefine with the help of redefinition keyword. So you can see this is our class LCL truck definition inheriting from local class vehicle, and this is the method display underscore attribute of the base class, and base class in this case is LCL vehicle. So how we can redefine it with the help of keyword redefinition, by using the redefinition. Now if you see that, suppose if you make the object of the derived class and want to access the method of the base class, how we can access? Suppose we have one class and you are if you want to call the method of a class, then how we can call? Firstly we will define the reference variable, then we will create the object, and then with the help of object we will call the method. Now suppose the case has been changed. We are talking about here the inheritance. Now in case of inheritance we have two classes. The first one is base class, second is derived class. In general, in case of inheritance, we create the object of the derived class, and with the help of derived class object we call the base class of the methods as well as the derived class methods. Okay. Now suppose there is another condition that the method are the same in case of base class as well as derived class. As you can see, this is a method display underscore attribute which we have defined in case of base class, and we are redefining into the derived class. Then when we create the object of this derived class, then which method it will call? It will call the method of LCL truck. And if you want to call the method of this base class, then we use the keyword super, which point to the superclass component, because this keyword always tell that we are referring to the superclass components, and the superclass component may be either attributes or it may be either methods. Or we cannot directly call the method of the base class directly using the objects. Generally we call this methods of the base class using the super, and that we declare in case of derived class method. You can see this is our class LCL tug implementation, and we are defining the method display underscore attributes. So this display underscore attribute is the method of the derived class, and we are calling the method display underscore attribute of the base class using the super and then end method. Now come to the next topic, preserving semantics during the redefinitions. Now you can see how we are representing here the classes in case of UML diagram. The same thing, we have the bus as well as the truck class, and the bus class we are defining minus sign we are using for the MB underscore passengers. That means in case of MB underscore passenger is in the private section, and similarly MB underscore cargo, which is also in the our private section. Constructor we have created, which we are going to implement in the main function, but we have declared it into the public section. Similarly, we have also used the display underscore attributes, which is common in both of the classes. You can see this is an important thing, because both of the classes bus and truck containing the same method display underscore attributes. Now the preserving semantics means the display underscore attribute parameter must be the different. Okay, so that it can call the different classes methods. Come to the next topic, how we can define the constructor in the subclass. You can see generally we create the constructor using the method constructor. So we use the special method that is called constructor keyword. And you can see in this figure, we are firstly defining the vehicle class and defining the constructor method constructor and importing IV underscore make, type is string. Similarly, we are defining this implementation LCL vehicle implementation part, and then method. In this method, we are fetching the actual parameter value to the attribute of the class variable IV underscore make underscore v to the MV underscore make. Now this was our base class. Vehicle is our base class. Now we are going to declare the drive class. In this case, we are using the class LCL underscore truck, and then definition, then inheriting from LCL underscore vehicle, and then we are defining the method constructor, because this is also a constructor of the drive class and this is also the constructor of base class. Now again the same thing we are doing in this one, but when the constructor generally call when we create the object. When we create the object, it automatically call the constructor. So generally we create the object of the derived class, so we will make the object of LCL truck, and when you will create the object of this class, then it automatically call the constructor of derived class. It will not call the constructor of base class. So the constructor of the superclass can be used as it is or changed in the subclass, which means that the signature of the constructor can be changed. But however, it is compulsory to call the superclass constructor during its implementation in the subclass. Suppose if you want to call the subclass constructor using the object, then you must have to call into the implementation part of the derived class with the help of again super keyword, super, then member access operator, and then method name. In this case, method name is constructor. Then it will call the constructor of the immediate superclass. Now come to the next topic. Rule for calling the constructor. Let us look at the classes. We have the classes is LCL1, LCL2, and LCL3. Three classes are there. Okay. Now you can see in this example, we are creating the two objects, go_2 and go_3, which are referring to the class LCL2 as well as LCL3. Now the class LCL3 has a constructor with two parameters. You can see this go_3, which is an object of the local class, which is taking the two parameters iv_a1 and iv_a2, but the local class one parameter. Okay, now suppose when you are creating this object, then it will automatically call the base class constructor, or in this case it will check the parameters. The two parameters are there which are defined into the derived class local class 3, so it will automatically call the derived class local class 3 constructor, not the base class. So this was the rule for calling the constructor. If the parameter are same, suppose in this local class 1, that is base class constructor, have the one parameter, similarly derived class LCL3 have the same parameter, only one parameter is there, then it cannot call the base class constructor. We need to call this constructor using the super keyword into the implementation part of the derived class. Okay, so by this way you can call the constructor in case of more than one classes. Come to the next topic, inheritance and visibility. I have already told you we have generally visibility of the components, three visibility of the components. The first one is public section, second is private section, and third is special section, which is called protected section. And this protected section generally we use in case of inheritance. Okay, now suppose we have a base class and second is derived class, and if you want to access the base class private section, then we can make this private section as a protected section, or we can change or convert into the protected sections. Okay, so we now have the protected components whose visibility lie between the public section as well as the private section. Okay, now you can see these protected components. These protected components only visible within the class as well as within all the subclasses. And there is a difference between public, private, and protected. Suppose we have declared the public component. So public component, that means that is visible outside of the class as well as within the class, visible to all. And if we talk about the private component, that is only visible within the class. Now suppose if you want to access the private component of the base class to the derived class, then it is not possible. Directly we cannot call the private component of the base class to the derived class. So we can convert this private component into the protected section. Once you have changed into the or converted into the protected section, then it will be visible within the class as well as the derived classes, or visible within the all subclasses. Now the notation in case of UML diagram, as I already told you, when we use the minus sign, that means that is used for the private section. We are declaring attributes in case of private section. When we use this plus sign, that means we are declaring in the public section, and protected section we represent with the help of hash symbols. Just put the hash symbol in front of the variable, then it automatically identify that it is a protected. You can also see in this diagram there is a difference between the protected versus the private section. We have two classes here. The first one class is vehicle class, and second is our bus class, which is inheriting the property of the vehicle class. So you can see in this vehicle we have the two components which we have declared as a in the private section, and hash which we have declared as a protected section. So this C underscore POS underscore underscore 1, that is accessible to this class, as well as we can access into the derived class also. You can also here, this is a UML diagram representation, and you can also see we have declared here this is public section. So this public section can be addressed from the outside for all the clients, but we have declared it private. Private means it can only address from inside the class. We have declared here MB underscore make, MB underscore model. So these are the private, we cannot access directly. Similarly, we are declaring a C underscore POS underscore 1, which we have declared in case of protected, that can only be addressed inside the class as well as the derived class. So this was the difference between the protected versus the private section. So come to the next topic. These are the summary of the static component in inheritance. The first is class that define a public or protected static attribute, shared its attribute with all its subclasses. I have discussed about the static attributes in the last unit. The static attribute generally, when you declare an object and one object is changing the value of the static attribute, then it will reflect to the all other objects. But now in case of inheritance, how it reacts? Suppose a class that defines a public or protected static attributes, then it shares its attribute with its subclasses. That means you can also use the static attribute which we have defined in base class to the subclass. But there is a restriction. Static method cannot be redefined. We are talking about the static methods. The static methods cannot be redefined. Third one, the static constructor of a superclass is executed when the superclass or one of its subclasses is accessed for the first time. Now, the static constructor of a superclass, that means we are talking about the superclass static constructor. वो कब execute होगा? When the superclass or its one or subclass क्या करेगा? It access for the first time. Now, next feature, a subclass can always have a static constructor irrespective of the superclass. It is not necessary that the superclass must have the static constructor. A subclass can always have a static constructor. The last feature, if a subclass and a superclass both have the static constructor, then both constructors are executed when we access the subclass for the first time. Obvious, generally we create the object of the subclass, and when we create the object of the subclass, that means we are accessing the static constructor of the derived class as well as the base class. In this case, the first it will access the subclass static constructor, then superclass static constructor. So this was about the lesson number 1 of the unit number 3.